Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Monday, January the 10th. We got a 7-game Monday slate, and as always guys, we are going to go game by game. We're going to talk through each game on this 7-game slate, break down each team, kind of give my early thoughts, what I do like at first look, taking a first look at this slate on Sunday night. And then as we do go through each game, we will build out an early core, talk about 5 players I specifically like at first look for both DraftKings and for Yahoo. Now, as always, if you enjoy these first look videos, if they are helpful to you and you want to get more content from me, I do provide a lot more updated content over on Patreon. You know, with a sport like NBA, you kind of always have to pay attention to injury updates throughout the day. You have to pay attention to starting lineups. You can never set your lineup and forget it in NBA. So I do provide more updated content after we get injury news, after we get starting lineups and all that. That is all available on Patreon. If you're interested in that, you can check that out. Link down below in the description. Get access to my updated core plays. Get in our Discord chat where you can ask me questions throughout the day up until lock, even after lock. I'm in Discord, trying to answer everyone's questions. Also, I do my positional plays, my favorite plays at each position. I do my rankings, my top 20 plays of the day, favorite value plays, favorite studs. You'll always see those guys, at the top of the rankings. And then I also give out some of my favorite picks each day on Prize Picks. That's another benefit you get if you become a Patreon member. You get my Prize Picks plays each day, my favorite picks, along with the entries that I am playing myself. So if those of you, or for those of you that are new here and you have not signed up for Prize Picks yet, they are the sponsor of this video. You can go check them out. Link down below in the description. Or just when you sign up for Prize Picks, use code NOAH, and they will match your first deposit. They will give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. And you can take a look at what PrizePicks has to offer. It's a very simple site to use and to work around. You basically just pick the over or the under on players' projections. So as you can see, they have point projections already posted for some of the games on Monday night. They have assists, rebounds, three-pointers made. That's for NBA. They have fantasy point projections too that they usually will get posted later in the day. They have other sports as well: college basketball, tennis, soccer, college football. The college football championship is Monday night, so the Georgia-Alabama game is on Monday night. You can get some picks in for that. You can mix and match sports. So if you want to do a couple NBA picks and a couple college football picks, you can do that. You can see they have a ton available for this college football game. So yeah, check that out. Check out PrizePicks if you are interested, guys. Sign up, use code NOAH, and they will match your first deposit. PrizePicks will give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. But yeah, let's take a look at Monday's 7-game slate. We're going to start off with the Bucks and Hornets game. So we did just see these teams play on Saturday. It was a really good spot for Giannis. He was a really good play on Saturday. He was in my core play Saturday, and I have a feeling I'll be going right back to Giannis today. I mean, $12K, the price tag went up a little bit, but the spot's just so good. Charlotte defensively, they've been one of the worst defensive teams this year. In terms of defensive rating, they got the 3rd worst defensive rating in the league. In terms of pace, they're leading the league in pace. So, getting a matchup against the Hornets is like one of the best spots you can get right now. We saw Giannis do really well against them on Saturday, played 37 minutes in a close game, had 70 DraftKings points, 43 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists. Giannis has crushed so far this year against Charlotte in the 2 games they have played. I don't think anything's going to change today. I think Giannis is once again one of the best pay-up options. We obviously know Jrue Holiday is still out, so just even heavier workload for Giannis while Jrue is out. So really, really like Giannis once again. Was high on him Saturday. I'll definitely be back on him today. And on Yahoo at $56, I think he's one of the better pay-up options over there too. And then I think we can look to Middleton as well. So with Jrue out, we know there's going to be more opportunity for Chris Middleton. We saw Chris Middleton do really well last game. He was 1 assist shy of a triple-double. Was able to contribute in all categories: 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. Finished with over 50 DraftKings points. The price tag on Middleton, I think, is probably where it should be. But the matchup is so good. Obviously, the usage is going to go up without Jrue. That I still think even at 8,400, Middleton is a pretty good play at this price point. I think you could play Middleton and Giannis together if you wanted to. So I still like Middleton a good amount. I think Bobby Portis is a viable option too. He did really well, 40 DraftKings points in 37 minutes against Charlotte. When they played on Saturday, his minutes have gone up these last few games with Boogie Cousins no longer on the team. We've seen them really start to play Portis big minutes. He played 32 minutes against Brooklyn. He played 37 minutes on Saturday against Charlotte. I mean, if we're going to be getting like mid to upper 30s minutes from Bobby Portis, especially with Jrue out and with there being more of usage available, I think Bobby Portis is pretty appealing too at 6,800. And then the rest of the Milwaukee guys, you're kind of just throwing darts here. Like Jordan Nwora started last game. He played 31 minutes. He did not shoot the ball well at all. 1 for 11, 1 for 6 from 3. The matchup is so good that I think Jordan Nwora could still do well, even at 5K, especially if he starts again and plays around 30 minutes. But I think at his price point, he's probably priced where he should be. Do want to mention that Dante DiVincenzo is back for today, and Pat Connaughton is questionable. I will say that if Pat Connaughton plays, I would probably be off of Nwora in that case, because I think if Connaughton plays, Connaughton will probably replace Nwora in the starting lineup. Connaughton himself at 4,100 could be a viable cheap play, assuming there's no minutes limit on him. It's his first game back from COVID protocols, but he was only out for about a week, so I don't think his conditioning should be too bad. Like, I think Connaughton should be able to play, close to normal minutes. At 4,100, he's a decent value play on the slate. DiVincenzo, we just haven't seen him get enough minutes this year. He played 3 games when he first returned from injury, and then he got re-injured, and he was out for about a week or two. I expect DiVincenzo is going to be on a minutes limit once again, so if he's only going to play like 20, 22 minutes, hard to consider him a great play at 3,900. But Pat Connaughton, if he plays, and especially if he starts, I think at 4,100 would look like a pretty decent value play. But that's it from Milwaukee. We can move on to the Charlotte side now. So with Charlotte, there's a couple guys here that I think I do have some interest in. LaMelo Ball at 9,300, I think it's a pretty appealing tournament play. LaMelo, last time these teams played, he did get into some foul trouble on Saturday. 26 minutes, had 44 DK points, but only played 26 minutes because he was in foul trouble. But he almost had a triple-double, 1 rebound and 2 assists, shy of a triple-double. We know LaMelo offers that kind of upside, can go for 50-plus DraftKings points any night. Without Drew out there, like that's obviously you're taking one of the elite guard defenders off of the the Bucks roster, I guess. Not having Drew out there, I think, is a big boost for guys like LaMelo, guys like Terry Rozier. This game in terms of pace should just be played at such a fast pace. It should be such a high-scoring game. If it stays competitive, I mean, there's a lot of upside here for LaMelo. As long as he can stay out of foul trouble, I think he can easily go for 50-plus DK points. So definitely like LaMelo in tournaments. I think Miles Bridges and Terry Rozier both look pretty appealing as well. Miles Bridges just, he's going to keep playing big minutes. Ever since coming back from COVID protocols, they kind of eased him back in his first game, but saw him play 42 minutes against Washington, 26 minutes in a blowout against Detroit, and then last game got up to 35 minutes for Miles Bridges. He should play, upper 30s in minutes at 7,400. I think Miles Bridges still looks pretty appealing on the slate. And Terry Rozier at 7,100 should also play, mid to high 30s in minutes. He was really good last game, shot the ball really well. This game in terms of pace, again, it should be played at such a fast pace that I think this does really benefit Terry Rozier. Obviously, he's a guy that, mainly relies on his scoring. He's not going to get too many rebounds or too many assists, but when he can get hot, when he can start knocking down shots, you can see him have really good games. And, he shot the ball well last game, 6 for 10 from 3, 45 DK points. At this price point, he's probably more of a tournament play, but I definitely think Terry Rozier is viable today. And that's probably it from Charlotte. Gordon Hayward is fine, but he's just been so up and down as of late. I think I'd rather get up to Bridges, get up to Rozier, and then Kelly Oubre, PJ Washington, Mason Plumlee, not really on those guys at their price point. So we can move on to the next game, talk about Utah and Detroit. So looking at Utah here, Donovan Mitchell at 9,400. On this slate specifically, I don't think Donovan Mitchell really stands out. Now, he did have a really good game last game against Indiana, 56 DraftKings points in 37 minutes. I don't really know if having Rudy Gobert off the floor, if that's beneficial for Donovan Mitchell, but in his first game without Gobert, he did play really well. The price tag on Mitchell, I think, makes him more of a just, contrarian option. LaMelo's closely priced to Donovan Mitchell. I think straight up, I would play LaMelo over Mitchell if I had to choose one of those two guys. But Donovan Mitchell is at least viable. Maybe with Gobert off the floor, that does boost his ceiling a little bit. Just maybe the offense runs more through Mitchell. Bojan, Mike Conley, Clarkson, these guys I'm not really on at their price tags. But we do have to talk about Hassan Whiteside. So Hassan Whiteside, these last 2 slates, has been massive chalk. He's been really, really cheap. He's projected super, super well. And he's busted back-to-back slates. 30 minutes against Toronto, only 20 DraftKings points. Got into some early foul trouble last game. Still played 25 minutes, just 17 DraftKings points. I don't really know what to do with Whiteside today. These 2 games that he has started, he's been really, really bad. But we know Whiteside is a really good point-per-minute player. We've seen, off the bench in limited minutes what he can do. 35 DK points in 19 minutes, 23 DK points in 14 minutes. Just this year with Utah, when he was on Portland, when he was on, the Heat, he's always been a terrific point-per-minute player. It's weird to see him playing so many minutes and not doing anything in terms of fantasy. He's a really good, shot blocker. He grabs a lot of rebounds. He can score around the rim. He's usually a double-double machine. If Whiteside plays 30 minutes, he's pretty likely to give you a double-double. But as of late, really hasn't been the case. So I'll be interested to see what the ownership is on Whiteside. The price tag's up to $5,200. Do people play him today at this price point? I don't think he gets nearly as much ownership as he has been. I don't think he's going to project as well today. I think he's a good tournament play if he's low owned. If he's going to be really chalky again, then I think you can probably just avoid him. Just because we've seen back-to-back games now that Whiteside maybe playing with the starters is just not good for him. I don't really know. But if nobody's going to play Whiteside because he's had 2 bad games, then I will gladly play Whiteside and just hope this is the game that he finally breaks out. So ownership's going to be really key for me on Whiteside. I think he's a guy that I would have a lot of interest in if he's really low owned. If he's really chalky, if everybody's going to play Whiteside again, then yeah, I would probably just back off at that point in tournaments at least. But that's probably it for Utah. Like, I don't think I'd be going to Royce O'Neal, even at 4,500. Like, I don't think he really stands out. He should play a lot of minutes, but we know Royce O'Neal's not a great point per minute player. I do want to mention that Rudy Gay is out today, so that actually does benefit Whiteside. Rudy Gay is someone that they can use as like a backup center. So maybe Whiteside's minute ceiling is a little bit higher with Rudy Gay out. Maybe that's a little boost, but I think that's it for Utah. I think we talked about everyone here. Now on the Detroit side, I don't really like anything on Detroit today. Everyone on Detroit feels priced where they should be. The matchup against Utah is not ideal. Obviously, with Gobert not out there, you're not going to have that elite, paint protector out there guarding the paint. But this Utah defense is still pretty solid even without Gobert. 7,700 for Cade Cunningham. I think that's just more of like a contrarian dart throw. 7K for Sadiq Bey, I probably wouldn't be going to at that price point. Same with Diallo at 6,600. Just don't really see much on Detroit that I like today. So we can move on to the next game. Talk about Indiana and Boston. So in Indiana, Domantas Sabonis at 10,300. I think for me, when it comes to Sabonis and when it comes to this Pacers team as a whole, we're just going to have to wait and see who's actually playing today. Right now, Malcolm Brogdon is questionable with an Achilles injury. He was out last game. He's been out for a while. I'm guessing that Brogdon's going to be out once again. But that we'll have to wait and see there. And then Karis LeVert, he's been in COVID protocols for about a week now. We don't really know when he's going to be back. I guess he's been in the protocols for the minimum like 7 days. So I guess he has a chance to return today. But if LeVert and Brogdon remain out, then I think Sabonis becomes a pretty good option just because his workload is going to be so massive without LeVert and Brogdon. And we've kind of seen that the last few games, 38 minutes in both back-to-back games, 64, 58 DraftKings points. I mean, he's playing 38, 40 minutes a night. He's got triple-double upside. The matchup against Boston may not be ideal, but Sabonis is just going to do everything when he's on the floor. Then I still think he would look like a pretty appealing option today if LeVert and Brogdon are out. Now, if LeVert and Brogdon both play, then there really isn't much at all that I like from Indiana. I think all these guys have been priced up for when LeVert and Brogdon have been out, so they would kind of all be overpriced if they were to return. If they remain out, then obviously I like Sabonis. I think Miles Turner would be a viable center play. Lance Stevenson, I know he's had back-to-back really good games off the bench. I feel like you're kind of chasing with Lance Stevenson, like especially at 5,500, like you're really overpaying for Lance Stevenson. I don't think it's a guarantee that he continues to play 30, 32 minutes, especially if LeVert and Brogdon return. Like if LeVert and Brogdon play, even if one of the two play, I think Lance Stevenson's minutes will take a big hit. 5,500, like I'm just fine fading him on this slate. And if he goes out there and puts up 40 DraftKings points again, then so be it. But you're definitely overpaying for Lance right now. I think if you play him at this price point, you're just kind of point chasing, in my opinion. Washington and Sykes, they're going to continue to get pretty big minutes if LeVert and Brogdon are out. But I think their prices have gotten to a point where they don't really stand out as like priority plays. I think they're still viable just because the minutes are going to be there. 32 minutes last game for Washington. I think Sykes played a good amount too. Yeah, 31 minutes for him. But again, 4,600, 4,800, neither one are like priority plays for me at their price points. But that's it for Indiana. We can move on to the Boston side now. So Boston today, I don't really see too much I like here. Boston's pretty much fully healthy right now. Jason Tatum's healthy. Jaylen Brown's healthy. They got Robert Williams, Horford, Smart, Schroeder. Like at the price tags of all these guys, none of them really stand out to me. Obviously Tatum can go out there and put up 50, 60 DK points any night. On this slate specifically, I don't think Tatum's going to be a guy that I really spend up for. I'd rather play LaMelo. I'd rather play Giannis. I think I'd rather play Sabonis as well. Just don't see much interest in Tatum. Same with Jaylen Brown at his price tag. Time Lord, Horford. I mean, Horford's prices come way down to 5,800. He's been pretty bad these last few games, but like 5,800 is really cheap for Horford. We were paying 7K for him just a week ago, and now after a few bad games, his price tag has plummeted. I want to say that Horford's an okay play at 5,800, but really from Boston, I don't see too much that stands out today. So we can move on to the next game, talk about San Antonio and the Knicks. So looking at San Antonio today, Dejounte Murray, 9,700. Especially with Derek White, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell still all out. Like the workload for Dejounte Murray is just going to be massive. We've seen him play big minutes in back-to-back games, 36 minutes against the Sixers, and then last game against Brooklyn went to overtime. Murray played 40 minutes in that game, 53, 54 DraftKings points. He's been shooting the ball a ton, 21, 23, 22 field goal attempts. Had a pretty bad shooting game last game, 31% from the field, 16% from three. Still scored 54 DK points because he got 12 assists, he got 9 rebounds, and we know Dejounte Murray can contribute in those categories. He gives you triple-double upside. He's pretty much like LaMelo, can score, can rebound, can get assists, he can get defensive stats too. I think at 9,700, Dejounte Murray looks very appealing today. I like him quite a bit as a pay-up guard option. I think he's right up there with LaMelo in terms of top-tier guard plays. Jakob Poeltl at 6,100 is fine. He should play like probably low 30s minutes here. Matchup against the Knicks, I think, is decent. Knicks defense this year, compared to last year, has not been nearly as good. So I think Poeltl is fine at 6,100. And then value-wise, there is some value that I do like from San Antonio. So we did see Lonnie Walker start last game. They started Lonnie Walker. I think it was in place of Trey Jones because Trey Jones got put in COVID protocols, and Trey Jones obviously was out. So they went with Lonnie Walker, or maybe it was Brim Forbes. I can't remember. I think Brim Forbes might have went back to the bench last game. Yeah, it was Brim Forbes. And they started Lonnie Walker ahead of Brim Forbes. Lonnie Walker played really well in the starting lineup, played 33 minutes, had 39 DraftKings points. One thing I like to see is that he took 20 shots. He was shooting the ball a ton. I think without Derek White, without Keldon Johnson, there's obviously more usage available. There's going to be opportunity for these guys to get shots up. Outside of Dejounte Murray, somebody else is going to have to shoot the ball. And I think Lonnie Walker is one of these guys that can provide offense for them. And given he played 33 minutes, given the shot attempts were there, the usage was there, 4,200. If Lonnie Walker starts again, I like him quite a bit for value today. I think he's a really good value play on both sides. He's very cheap on DraftKings, 4,200, and he's minimum salary at small forward on Yahoo. So I think he looks like a great value play over there. I do want to mention that Doug McDermott is questionable. He entered protocols like a week ago, so maybe he returns. He spent the minimum 7 days in protocols, so I guess he has a chance to return. If he does wind up playing, then maybe they would put Walker back on the bench, which would obviously hurt him a little bit. We'll just have to wait and see here for San Antonio. I think if all these guys that are out still remain out, Lonnie Walker is going to look like a pretty good value play. The rest of the San Antonio guys, I'm not that high on. Brim Forbes off the bench, played 25 minutes, had 31 DK points. He's a really scoring-dependent player, but at 4K, I think he's a viable dart throw if you want to go there. Keita Bates-Diop played big minutes again. Hasn't been really productive, but he's been starting and he's been playing big minutes, so another viable play. And then Josh Primo, last game played big minutes too, 39 minutes for him. He's been starting lately, been playing a ton. He's 3,600. He's very cheap. I think Primo, Forbes, Keita Bates-Diop, these guys are dart throws. They're all viable just because the minutes should be there. But in terms of value plays from San Antonio, Lonnie Walker, especially with the upside that he has, I think he's the best point per minute player of all those guys that we talked about. I think he's the best value of all those guys we talked about. That's it for the Spurs. We can move on to the Knicks side now, talk about the Knicks here. So looking at the Knicks today, I don't see a ton that I love from the Knicks. I think, Julius Randle at 9,100, this price tag has come down a lot. He was 10-1 last slate, and, he's had some bad games lately, so the price tag dropped $1,000. I mean, this is a really good price point for Julius Randle. I still don't think he's like a top pay-up option for me today. I'd rather play, some of these other pay-up options that we've already mentioned, but Julius Randle, especially with that price decrease, I think looks a lot better, definitely viable. Kemba Walker is currently questionable, so this is kind of important. If Kemba returns, I don't know if they were going to start Kemba. Obviously Kemba was starting before he got injured. Does he start today? I really don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on that. If Kemba returns, that's definitely going to hurt guys like Alec Burks, RJ Barrett. Emmanuel Quickly did start last game and did play really well. He played big minutes, 37 minutes, had 28 DK points. He started in place of Evan Fournier. Fournier is also questionable for today, so gonna have to watch this. I'm assuming that if Fournier's out again, they will probably start not Kemba Walker, but Emmanuel Quickly once again. So I think if Fournier sits, we could definitely go to Quickly as a value. I think if Kemba sits, that makes Alec Burks viable. That makes RJ Barrett viable. Don't know if any of these guys would be like core plays for me, but definitely some sprinkles. If you were playing multiple lineups, you could sprinkle in some of these Knicks guys. But that's probably it for this game. We can move on to the next game. Talk about Philly and Houston. So looking at the Sixers today, really good spot here against Houston. Houston so far this year been one of the worst defensive teams in terms of defensive rating. They're also a team that plays at a really fast pace. We've seen Joel Embiid do really well in this matchup so far this year. Played only 29 minutes because it was a blowout. Still went for 72 DraftKings points, 31 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists. Had a triple-double against Houston earlier this year. I mean, the spot is fantastic for Embiid. on this slate specifically, you have Giannis in a great spot as well against Charlotte. Like, I think Giannis, I would probably rather play over Embiid. But man, if this game can stay close, Embiid could go for 70 again, just because Houston has nobody to stop him. Christian Wood's not a good defender. Daniel Tice isn't going to stop Embiid. Obviously, Daniel Tice was the guy that was out there last game. That was the game that Embiid got, or that Christian Wood got suspended for. He was not out there last time these teams played, but I don't think Christian Wood's going to stop Embiid. If they put Tice on Embiid, obviously that was a mismatch last game. Embiid killed him, so I think it's a really good spot for Embiid. I think he's a pretty strong pay-up option. Still would probably put Giannis ahead of him, but I think Embiid's definitely viable. The rest of the Sixers, though, at their price points, I'm not big fans of. All these guys, I think, are priced where they should be. Harris, 8K. Seth Curry's almost 7K. Court Moss, almost 5K. Like, I just don't see too much here. I think it's just Embiid, and that's it for me from the Sixers. Now, on the Houston side, looking at the Rockets, Christian Wood, 7K. I like the price point a lot, but the matchup against Embiid is really scary. Embiid's a guy that, can draw a lot of fouls. Christian Wood could definitely be in foul trouble here. Obviously, there's blowout risk. With any time you roster any Rockets players, there's going to be blowout risk. I think the price point on Christian Wood makes him an appealing option. I will say that if this game does stay close and Christian Wood can stay out of foul trouble and he plays 33, 34 minutes, I think he has 40-plus point upside, can easily go for 40 DraftKings points. He's just a riskier option because the matchup is so tough. There's obviously blowout risk, but in tournaments, I do have some interest in Christian Wood. I think the same could be said for KPJ. If this game stays close, KPJ probably plays, low to mid 30s minutes. 6,200 is probably too cheap for him. If we project this game to stay close and he plays his full minutes, so he is viable as well. The rest of Houston, though, Jayshawn Tate, Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, I'm not going to go to these guys today. I think it's just, KPJ and Wood as tournament plays, and that's it from the Rockets for me. So we can move on to the last two games of the night, two late-night games. First off, we got Cleveland and Sacramento. So Cleveland, they are on a back-to-back today. We'll have to pay attention to the injury report here. I'm expecting everyone to be good to go for Cleveland, but anytime a team's on a back-to-back, there's always some worry about blowout, or not blowout, but guys getting rested for it being a back-to-back, especially like the older guys, maybe Kevin Love. But if everyone's playing here for Cleveland, it is a really good matchup against Sacramento. So I think in tournaments you could throw some darts on Darius Garland, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. But this is another team where I think the pricing is, where it should be. I don't think there's anyone that stands out as just being glaringly underpriced. Maybe the bigs, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, I have the most confidence in. I think the matchup against Sacramento is really good for them. The Kings are a team you can definitely beat down low with big men. So Allen at 7,900, Evan Mobley at 7,300. Both these guys are fine options. I think they're both in play. They both did pretty well against Sacramento earlier this year. But that's probably it from Cleveland. I think there's tournament plays here. I don't know if there's any standout options given the price tags on these Cleveland guys. And then on the Sacramento side, this is also a team on a back-to-back, but I'm expecting everyone to play for Sacramento. We'll definitely have to pay attention to COVID protocols here. So Rashawn Holmes has been in protocols as of late. He's been in protocols for about a week now, so he has a chance to return at some point. I don't know if it's going to be today or maybe later on, but if Rashawn Holmes does return, that will definitely change up some things because Alex Len, I think going into today, if Holmes and Jones remain out, Jones should be out because he's been in protocols, just for a day or two. But if Holmes remains out, I think Alex Len would be a pretty good value play at center. We did see Alex Len start at center on Sunday against Portland. He played 23 minutes in a blowout. I don't think he played much at all in the fourth quarter. He did have 30 DraftKings points, though. He was really productive in those 23 minutes, had a double-double, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 30 DK points. This Cleveland team obviously plays big, so you're probably going to need some bigs out there. Like, you can't really go small against Cleveland. Against Jared Allen, against Evan Mobley, it's just not really going to work. So I think if Rashawn Holmes remains out, we probably see Alex Len start once again and play, low to mid-20s minutes. Maybe he can get to upper 20s minutes. He's been a good point-per-minute player when he's gotten time on the floor. So I think 3,800 for Alex Len. He is a viable cheap play, and he probably would be my favorite play from Sacramento if I had to go to anyone here. I do want to mention that De'Aaron Fox was on the injury report Sunday. He did wind up playing. He played 36 minutes against Portland. Again, it's a back-to-back. Because Fox was on the injury report Sunday, I think there's a possibility that he could be on the injury report for today. Maybe he winds up questionable. Maybe he sits out on the back-to-back. If he winds up playing against Cleveland, a really good defensive team, especially against guards, I don't love the spot for Fox, but viable. Halliburton, I think, would look really good if Fox were to sit on the back-to-back, but until we get news on that, I think Halliburton's just kind of like a contrarian option. Really, the standout play from Sacramento for me would be Alex Len if Rashawn Holmes remains out. But that's it for this game. We can move on to the last game of the night, Brooklyn and Portland. So in Brooklyn today, Kyrie Irving, I think, will be out once again. Or no, so this is a road game. Excuse me. So this is a road game. So Kyrie Irving will actually play today. With Kyrie Irving playing today, I mean, that's going to make KD and Harden both look pretty unappealing, especially at their price points. We saw in the game against Indiana when Kyrie played, some of these guys did still do pretty well. KD, 41 minutes, 61 DraftKings points. Now, obviously, the minutes are going to be massive for KD and Harden, even with Kyrie back. Like, these guys are still going to play 38 to 40 minutes if the game stays close. But the usage hit they're going to take with Kyrie back does make them just kind of more contrarian options for me. Harden, I think, really struggled against Indiana when Kyrie returned. Yeah, 40 minutes for Harden, only 34 DK points. Again, I think Harden and KD at their price points are just kind of contrarian plays. Kyrie, you probably aren't going to be able to go to. He did play 32 minutes against Indiana in his first game. So he's clearly full go. I think he should play normal minutes today, mid to high 30s. But 8,800, Kyrie's priced where he should be, if not overpriced right now. He was pretty cheap on Yahoo last slate. I don't know what his price tag is for today. So $27 for Kyrie on Yahoo. I think that looks kind of appealing. I think you could definitely play Kyrie on Yahoo, but on DraftKings, I really don't see too much I like from Brooklyn today. The Marcus Aldridge is questionable. If he gets ruled out, that's going to benefit Nicholas Claxton, but $5K for Nicholas Claxton, I think he's priced probably where he should be. He did have a really good game on Sunday against San Antonio, but again, $5K. I don't love Claxton on this slate, even if Aldridge is out again. There's not too much to like from Brooklyn with Kyrie playing today. But on the Portland side, there's a lot to like from Portland. They're probably the most appealing team on the slate. They're definitely one of the more shorthanded teams. We obviously know that Dame and CJ are both going to still remain out for Portland. We also did get word on Sunday that Norman Powell entered health and safety protocol. So Norman Powell is now out for Portland as well. I mean, they're basically missing all their high usage guys, all their shot takers. Dame, CJ, Norman Powell, those are the guys that take all the shots that that are out there playing big minutes too. We saw Nurkic play massive minutes on Sunday against Sacramento. Had a great game, 53 DraftKings points. He was 1 assist shy of a triple-double, and they left him in the game. It was a blowout, but he was still out there late in the game trying to get that last assist, trying to get the triple-double. But 38 minutes for Nurkic, I mean, that has to be a season high for him. I'm pretty sure that's the most minutes he's played all in a game all season. Well, never mind. He played 39 against Phoenix, but yeah, 39 against Phoenix. I mean, 38 for Sacramento. If we get those type of minutes for Nurkic, I mean, this dude can go out there and put up 50-plus DK points any night, especially against Brooklyn, a team that you can definitely beat down low. Claxton's not really much of an elite defender. He's definitely undersized compared to Nurkic. He's, undermanned, I should say. I think Nurkic at 7K looks great today. I think his workload should just be massive without Dame, CJ, and Powell. They're going to run the offense through Nurkic. His assist numbers should see a big spike, and we saw that happen on Sunday night. So, love Nurkic today. Really like him on Yahoo as well. $27 over there. I think he's one of my favorite center plays today. I think Anthony Simons looks great as well. Another big game for Anthony Simons. Played 35 minutes, had 45 DraftKings points, shot the ball 17 times. His usage without Dame, CJ, Norman Powell, it's just going to be through the roof. He's going to take 15, 20 shots minimum. We know he's a really good shooter. He's been a really good shooter. When he's gotten time on the floor, he's been a really efficient shooter. He's definitely an underrated player, in my opinion, and he's really starting to shine, with Dame and CJ out. Now that he's getting all these big minutes, he's showing that he's a really good player. I like Anthony Simons a lot. I think he's a really underrated player. And on this slate specifically, 6,400, that's still probably too cheap for Anthony Simons with Dame, CJ, and Powell all out again. So really like him, and I think on Yahoo, you can definitely play him over there, $23. I think Anthony Simons looks really good on both sides. And then lastly, Nasir Little, another guy I have interest in. He played 34 minutes now. His production was not great, only 21 DK points, but I think the minutes should be through the roof for Nasir Little. I think for the most part, Portland is going to play all their starters big minutes. I don't know if there's really anyone off the bench from Portland that we have to worry about, taking minutes away from some of the starters. I don't think they want to play Cody Zeller or Watford or Tony Snell or Ellaby or Dennis Smith Jr. They don't want to play these guys big minutes. They're going to give their 5 starters big minutes, and we saw that happen on Sunday. I'm pretty sure every starter played over 30 minutes. You got 35 from Covington, 35 or 34 from Little. Nurkic played 38. Simons played 35. These guys are just going to play a ton, so I think Nasir Little at 5K, if we expect him to play 34, 35 minutes again, especially with increased opportunity without Norman Powell now, I definitely like Nasir Little at 5K, and I think on Yahoo, he's pretty cheap over there still, $16 on Yahoo, like him quite a bit over there too. So yeah, I think basically all 5 starters for Portland are in play for me. Simons, Little, Nurkic, Covington, and even Ben McLemore. So Ben McLemore did start on on Sunday. Now, he did get into a lot of foul trouble. He was limited because of foul trouble, had 5 fouls in 25 minutes, but he was on pace to play pretty big minutes as well had he not been in foul trouble. I think if, McLemore can stay out of foul trouble today, we'd probably see him play, mid to upper 30s minutes. 3,300, like close to minimum salary. I mean, when he was on the floor, he was shooting the ball, shot the ball 12 times, had 19 DK points. He's a score-independent player. Anytime, you roster score-independent players, it's always a little risky just because if they're not hitting shots, they can disappoint. But again, he's 3,300. He probably starts and plays 30 minutes. I think he's definitely a really good punt value play. We haven't talked about a ton of cheap guys that, below 4K that really stand out today. I think Bill McLemore, assuming he winds up starting again, is a pretty good punt value. Really, all 5 starters from Portland, I think, are viable today. These 3, Simons, Little, Nurkic, my 3 favorites, but Covington, McLemore, they're playable too. But yeah, that's it for Portland. Definitely a team I want to spend a lot of time on because they're one of the more shorthanded teams today. But that's it for Portland. That's it for this 7-game Monday night slate. So hope you guys did enjoy this breakdown. I appreciate you watching. If you guys enjoyed, please do hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button as well if you have not yet. Go check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. Go sign up for PrizePicks. Use code NOAH when you do. And PrizePicks will match your first deposit. They will give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. You can take a look at what PrizePicks has to offer. You can make some picks for Monday night's NBA games. You can take a look at their board for college football. If you're going to be watching the college football championship, the Alabama-Georgia game, they have a ton of props available for that. You can make some picks for that as well. You can mix and match sports. You could do a couple NBA picks, pair those with a couple college football, potentially win up to 10 extra money. So check out PrizePicks, guys. Use code NOAH when you sign up so you get that deposit bonus. And if you guys want some of my favorite picks each day on PrizePicks, along with the entries I am playing myself, that is available on Patreon. You can check out all the exclusive content I do offer on Patreon. Link down below in the description. But best of luck tonight, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. We will see you in the next one. Peace.